Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to my first video on Loom. And this is CyberSmart. I thought it would be a good idea to basically show what CyberSmart is, give you a bit of a tour, and understand what exactly is CyberSmart. So let's hide this and let's scroll down. So this is a typical representation of the dashboard that you'll get when you log into CyberSmart. You can see a smart score, which we'll come onto in a bit. But the main part of CyberSmart is these devices down the bottom here. You can see each of the devices, the users that are logged on, the operating system, the serial number and ID, the version of CyberSmart that's installed onto each of these devices. I do apologise if you can hear an aeroplane. Living under the Manchester Airlines is a load of fun. So we have the version of CyberSmart that's installed onto each device, and that's the agent. If you are unfamiliar, it's this thing. And you can see all the different rules, which we'll come on to in a sec. We have the status, which basically shows how secure each of the individual devices is, the policies, which I'll come on to in a second as well, and then when it was last checked in. So let's just scroll down to my device. I think that's the best way of showing you how the policies and the rules kind of work, because I think it would be a bit unprofessional to show other people. So let's have a go at myself. So you get to see the machine name here. It's that can help to narrow down the device. You can see who was the last user that was logged on. And by the way, CyberSmart works on all operating systems. So you've got, well, the main ones. So Windows, Mac, iPhone, Android. That's the pretty much the main four there. It works on servers as well, depending on how secure you want those. But it's a good idea to try and get this agent installed onto all devices, so you get a good picture of how secure your company is. So you can see here that this is my machine. I was last checked in today at 10:44. I think that's on a rotating basis. I think it's every 15 minutes. I could be wrong on that. It just checks in to see whether the checks are passing or failing, and it gives you a cyber score, which you saw earlier with the percentages. So what does it mean to be cyber smart? So cyber smart is basically an app that checks the basics of your company, that your basic security is going to be there. So whether the operating system is supported, that checks for things like the version number of your operating system, that you're not on Windows XP and that sort of thing. My cat is very curious while I'm talking to a computer screen. Another thing it checks for, if you're on Windows 11 or Mac OS, it's going to be checking whether you have full disk encryption enabled. I'm on Windows 11, regretfully. I do regret doing that. Windows 10 is better in my opinion. But I think this was one of the checks that I was actually failing. And then with the guidance of the app, I was able to turn it on pretty easily. So it also checks for whether you have a password enabled, and by that it means a password to log into your device, whether you have anti-malware software. So we use a program called ESET, and you can see that that is enabled here. Firewall, make sure that setting's enabled. Autoplay is a common one that we're seeing with company devices. The autoplay by default is checked, meaning that when you plug in a USB stick, that can just automatically run on your PC, which opens a little bit of a floodgate of security flaws. You don't want to have autoplay enabled, and it's very easy to fix. And I might do another video or set of videos how to fix each of these, because yeah, it's very simple to do. Automatic operating system updating is enabled. That's a simple one. Some drama with the cats beneath my feet. And then the user is not a local admin. So let's have a look at this as an example of what you would see. Actually, let's do it through the actual app. So this is what the end users would see. So you would have your app running. I'm just going to pin the app so it doesn't disappear if I click over here. So you can see each of these things I have a check mark for, but I am a local admin. So I click on this. It explains why you shouldn't be using local administrator accounts, and then there's manual steps that the users can follow that navigate them through how to fix. Now, in this case, it's probably not the best example because these steps haven't worked for us, but we are looking at alternate solutions and raising the case with CyberSmart themselves because we have a direct connection with them, and it seems to be a bug in the software at the minute where it's falsely flagging that people are local admins when they're not. But that's a little bit of a tangent. Normally, with anything, you'll be able to click on these. It'll give you some more information on the checks, how to fix it. But obviously, as we're all ticked, it doesn't need to give you that extra information. It only gives you that on the failing checks. So let's unpin that. So as an administrator of CyberSmart, you'll be able to see like a dashboard that's similar to this. I don't know if I can move my face. I can. Here we go. Let's move myself over here. You can see more technical information about the device, blah, 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 how much usage it's having, the specs of the software. But that's sort of a tangent. That's sort of different from what CyberSmart is all about. CyberSmart is about getting you secure, and then we'd use a tool like remote monitoring software to basically monitor the device for rolling out software, for instance, and that sort of thing. So this is all about cybersecurity. Now, if you're an admin, you'll be able to log into a page like this, go into different devices of the company. You'll be able to see the different reports that you're able to get for your company too. So you'll be able to see how many failing checks are your company receiving at the minute. You can break that down by mobile and desktop. You can get an overview of the software that's installed on your company PCs. The really handy one is the vulnerable packages. You can click on this, and it basically shows we have 16 pieces of software within the company, and then you can burrow down into the exact device. The version numbers, basically they're saying they're out of date. So we can click on, say, this person that has Steam. We can go to this user, and ask them to update to make sure they're fully secure. Policy reports, we'll come on to that in a second. We don't currently have any policies, but that's a nice thing to touch upon. Company report, this is where you get the overall score. So we can see that as a whole, do you mind? Jesus. Work from home, eh? There you go. Let's have a look. Look at this cat. Just photo bombing. Okay. Right. Secure devices. That's basically showing how many of your devices are hitting those CyberSmart requirements within the app. So we have a pretty good overall score there. And the audit questionnaire, that's more to do with the Cyber Essentials part, which is a qualification that your business can achieve. So let's have a look at the policies, and I might have to break this down in separate videos. In policies, you can basically upload documents for policy distribution through your company. You can have it'll appear in people's CyberSmart app, similar to this. All you do is click on the policies, it will pop up a PDF, they can scroll through, and as soon as they've scrolled through, that sort of signifies that they agree to those policies. And it's a good way of just getting people up to date on the most cybersecurity conscious policies, and getting people's approval on, policies, which can be a very difficult task, even in 2022. Cyber Essentials, we sort of touched upon with the questionnaire. So there's a long questionnaire, and it's very technical, very in-depth. But if you want the Cyber Essentials certification for your business, this is where you would go. It's somewhat different to the CyberSmart, because CyberSmart is about those individual devices and servers and mobile phones, making sure they're all basically secured. Cyber Essentials is the grander picture. So have you got a company firewall and residence of address? It's very much a self-assessed sort of part of Cyber Essentials, but we always say if you're just going to be faking your way through Cyber Essentials, that totally defeats the point. And if anything, it's going to open your business up to a lot of security risk. So you want to make sure that you're cyber secure, you're answering these questions properly. Now, you may think that if this is a self-assessed test, you may think, how does that provide any validity to this certification? You may want something that can prove to other companies that you are actually secure, you know what you're doing. You would look for a Cyber Essentials Plus certification where basically a third-party auditor comes in and double checks your answers, basically like a teacher would at school. IASME and GDPR, these are sort of separate tangents. It's not wholly my area of expertise, but I think they're extras to the CyberSmart certification. You can add those. We don't typically have those in place at the minute. Organization users, so you can add a number of different admins to the portals. And then your final option is the approved domains, the organizational details, and different features that you want to enable for your company. So that's pretty much a run through of CyberSmart. This 53% obviously can be improved with continuing our audit. We need to prompt those users to fix the checks. And what typically we would advise is to get in touch directly with the affected users to get these scores up to and above. 90% is what we suggest. A lot of the fixes are going to be company-wide, something like autoplay we've typically seen as a problem. So something like group policy can really help just eliminate that problem across the business. And the discussion would need to be had with regard to, I'm trying to think of all the popular FAQs. A discussion would need to be had with all of the people that are using personal devices or BYOD. Because they would typically fall in the scope of CyberSmart. They would, because they're touching company assets, company data, they would typically, let me try and see if I can expand my, hello. They would typically fall in the scope of CyberSmart. So they should be checked and they should be secure, but however, they're personal devices. So, maybe if the employees are starting to see that, this is a bit too intrusive, I don't want to enable full disk encryption on all my devices, and I want to keep autoplay, for instance, then the discussion may need to be had of a transition to company laptops, for instance. That's a popular one as well. So, I hope that you enjoyed that whistle-stop tour. I hope you enjoyed the cat's interruptions. And if you have any questions, please get in touch. We are Greenlight Computers. And hope you enjoy. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.